No, not at all. Please.
So here we are, Movie Club supplemental for today. It's Attack on Titan, first 3 episodes.
Episodes 1 through 3.
Attack on episode.
Attack on episode. Oh
Sorry.
yeah, I guess that's more appropriate title for you, Eliza. So, not Atticus.
No,
Luke.
no, because it's tacked on to the other episode. Attack on episode. Like we're tacking it on.
Attack on. Oh, that's so funny.
Nice.
Wait,
Layers.
that's genius. Now that's some high level thinking right there.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
Sorry, Atticus. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Atticus, Luke, why don't you give us a synopsis of what we viewed?
Well, so the first 3 episodes is pretty much just an introductory period. The first episode, you start off hot with meeting your band of heroes,
Kiki.
Armin, Mikasa, and Eren. And Armin's the blonde guy.
Armin.
Eren's the brown-haired
Like
main
the main
character,
character
the
boy.
protagonist, and then Mikasa is
His
their
sister.
badass female friend.
Wait, Mikasa is not his sister?
No.
Isn't she in the house with him? And his...
Yeah, but that's a different character.
You'll get more insight later.
Okay.
They're close.
If you watch it.
I thought that was his. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and so
helpful to understand.
basically what we know so far is that you have all of humanity stuck behind walls to protect them from these creatures that look like just giant humans.
Humanoids.
Humanoids, yeah. Called Titans. And unfortunately this giant supermassive Titan breaks down a wall, and one of like the 3 walls that are still existing, and their hometown gets ravaged by Titans.
Obliterated.
Eren gets his mother
Chomped in half.
just eaten up. Yeah, there's nothing more to say other than he watches his mother get eaten by a giant humanoid creature.
Titan.
And then you get like their training arc. They decide they want to join the military to defend themselves from the Titans, and
Which Eren's mother was adamantly opposed to.
Very much so opposed to. Didn't want him join.
So let me ask you, Atticus and Luke,
Mhm.
how much further before we start getting into
Like-
something a little deeper, I guess?
Like 3 more episodes, I would
3
say.
more episodes.
Okay.
It's already there,
Mhm.
but it is not as obvious if you haven't seen the show several times. It's like the show comes in with like the skin on the onion, essentially.
Mm.
And
It just peels back the layers. Yeah. I agree.
yeah, right. And then
Like
what
an
it'll,
ogre.
like, I think much like an
Like
ogre.
an ogre. That makes sense.
I think
Thank
the
you.
best analogy would probably be like jamming, like the core plot is like a penny that's jammed into the middle of the onion. You already know what the penny is, and you already have the evidence that you need to identify where a lot of the plot twists are coming from, but there's a lot of story to peel back before you see what the core stuff is.
Okay.
And so
All right.
you know,
Does it become fun to watch at any point, or is it going to be kind of
It's cool.
this is what I'm learning about myself in just like in the Elvis example, or like Paddington 2, Coda. I like things that are really easy to enjoy. That's what I'm noticing, and I'm noticing that Atticus and Luke, you guys are Dad, you can kind of float between all of them. You tend to like the most things, I feel like, and appreciate the most things. But then Atticus and Luke, I feel like you guys like stuff where like your rewatchability scores need to be really high, because like you almost are enjoying it more when you watch it again and are getting like all
More
those
information.
Yeah.
the connections, the symbolism, and
I have a theory on that.
yeah.
Luke and I are both gamers, and you are not. And I think that there is a lot of fabric that, or like, I think that like the you know, like the threads of the fabric that go into what makes a good game story is very prevalent in the principles of anime. And And so I think that there is some cultural resonance that Luke and I have, having a history
Yes.
of loving video games, that, not to say that like you're ignorant to, but you just don't have the same emotional
But
tethers
it's,
to it.
yeah, it's washing over me in a
Well-
way where it's maybe like hitting for you guys a little bit more. That makes sense. I can
So
see
Yeah.
So it's kind of like watching it's a bad example, but I'm going to give it anyway. It's like watching the finale of Seinfeld and not getting the context of the characters, like the soup Nazi and the gal who had the real boobs, but and all that stuff, and the one
Yeah.
guy, you are a bad man. It's like, if you don't know what that
Babu.
penny is at the Babu, you don't know that. So it's
Or that the penny's there, yeah.
right, and so I think and it's interesting because Eliza's talking about Coda and Paddington and all
Paddington
these
2.
other Paddington 2
Yeah.
and all these. So we have to take this in a different kind of
Attack on Titan has a Tarantino ass timeline. Like, shit is fucking moving and skipping around, but it doesn't come out until very, very late into the story.
Can I also
Like-
give some? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for the time that this was created, what a bunch of people liked in like the anime sphere was just
Yeah.
like super action heavy and not like huge story driven, but they wanted like cool fights and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so this starts off, it's going to start off with like a bunch of like cool fights and this like super like sort of like epic type deal, and then it's going to swap to something a little bit
Go
more.
ahead. So I have a question.
Okay.
Does the animation get any better?
Oh, dude, the animation gets like infinitely
gets-
better.
Yeah, like it. So the budget of these first 9 episodes is, I think, like a 20th of the rest of the budget that they get, and
Okay.
the team is also like a third of the size. So if
Similar to what we were talking about the Summit of the Gods.
yeah, exactly. And like, so Attack on Titan blows up. This first season is like, it looks pretty rough as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Because
no,
it's
I was looking
literally
at it
like-
right now and it's
it's-
like rough.
But I
It's
hate
like
to use
it's like 3 people.
the Seinfeld analogy again, but if you look at the first season of Seinfeld, you're like, oh my god, it's like that's so obviously a fake
looks like
door.
Fucking
Those cabinets
shit,
don't
man.
even open.
No,
That kind of
right.
stuff. But
Jerry
okay.
Seinfeld's hair never gets any better, but
right.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Oh god,
But-
it's the
The
worst
worst
haircut of all
rich
time.
person hair. It's
But I
Ever.
will say that if that's a component, then that's great. I'm sorry, it's so bad. I mean, the animation
Yeah.
at this point is so bad, and I don't get, there are things in the animation that don't connect. Why some of the Titans have flat teeth and some of them have fangs. Okay,
Are we
okay.
gonna
so
find out
that'll-
the 3 different types of titans?
and I
I'm
understand
glad you're
that.
asking questions.
Yeah,
No, this
And I'm
is
asking
good.
that.
And
I
and
understand.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
leave them
understand
unanswered.
why they don't have
The show will answer
genitals.
for you.
And
The
why
show will
is the
answer that
really
too.
big one?
Okay, perfect.
Why doesn't he have skin?
The show already kind of answered that.
Oh,
but-
the big one.
The Colossal Titan.
yeah.
Oh, because he's a colossal?
But they said in the show, oh, he was
There-
nothing but muscle.
Yeah, there's a later scene when they go
Oh.
into their basic training that get like there's a very important character that's like a Titan scientist and scholar, and a lot of dots will get connected when they're showing up. The intention of these 3 of these first few episodes, I would say probably the first 5 or 6 episodes,
Okay.
the intention is to make you very uncomfortable, and it's to set up very, very established character traits for the 3 protagonists, right? Like you're supposed to be seeing these protagonists in a very binary sense, and the show balloons and sheds that as you like. Attack on
Well-
Titan's creator is all about questioning the norms, right?
Mhm.
The traditions of technology, the traditions of manga itself, like Attack on Titan was supposed to be a shonen anime, right? And there was supposed to be all these notes and all this stuff like Dragon Ball Z or One Piece or a very mainstream, like linear Shonen Jump anime, right? Supposed to be family friendly, all this kind of stuff. And the dude was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm going to do my own thing, which he
Like
does.
Elvis.
Like Elvis. Just like Elvis.
Just like Elvis.
Also, a
Everyone
very big
says
fan
that-
of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Really?
And
Yes.
so, like, and it's just, so.
So here's my point. I'm okay with a story taking time to develop. And if he's a fan of Breaking Bad, and I
He
don't
said
know
he wanted
which,
to make something like as impactful as Breaking Bad. That's like
you remember
a
the
quote that
first
he had.
scene in Breaking Bad was the pants flying?
Yeah.
That's the first thing you see. How do you get there?
Did you
And then
see
they
it?
get
Well,
you there, and then you realize, oh, okay.
Yes,
And
are
it
we
doesn't
all-
take a long time to get you there. So that's my whole thing. And I'm sorry, I'm not denigrating the animation or anything,
right.
but it's got this Sailor Moon type of big old, felt.
It's a specific
cartoon.
style, Dad. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
I understand.
and I think that it like a lot of the times people will see an anime that they've been exposed to and they use it as a baseline. Most of the time that's a Ghibli film, right?
Yeah.
So that's
yeah,
like
for sure.
that's like looking at a Michelangelo, right? And then going and being like, this Jackson Pollock fucking sucks. Like,
But
know
I
what I mean?
understand that. But I'm
Two
saying
different
that there's one scene where it looks like Sailor Moon, and then there's other scenes where it looks more like Dragon Ball Z in terms of how the facial features are done, and it just seems odd to me to have both those kinds
I want to
of
say
facial human.
everything in this is very intentional. Nothing.
Okay,
Nothing
okay,
is.
okay, and I'll go with that.
It's not a mistake. Like, don't
It's
take
not a mistake.
those,
Yeah.
No.
They
those
didn't
differences as
Okay.
mistakes. It's just
take them as
It's-
lessons.
So
or
the
stuff to note.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Luke. So the creator is also a big Hieronymus Bosch fan. I don't know if you guys are familiar
Really?
with the
Bosch.
paintings
Really?
of Hieronymus Bosch. Yeah,
What's
Dad,
that?
can you put?
Never heard of him.
Oh, here. All right. So, Dad, can you just Google Hieronymus Bosch? Hieronymus Bosch in parentheses Garden of Eden, and let's pull that image up. And I think that you guys will be able to see a through line. So one of the things that Bosch is known for is rejecting the, so this, again, Bosch
What do you
is
want
a
me to, what do you want me to do? Images or
images, yeah.
Okay.
There should be a big painting. There should be a painting that comes
Snapchat.
up, Dad.
I'm trying this new app. It's called Be Real, and you only have 2 minutes every day to post. And so you have to post wherever you are, and it's your front camera and your back camera.
Dad, Hieronymus Bosch, The Garden of Earthly Delights.
The Garden of Earthly Delights.
hold on, it's
So-
coming.
Bosch's whole thing,
Oh!
this painting was finished right around the same time as the Mona Lisa. And so that Renaissance painting style being so precise, so specific, and the whole idea behind it was hiding your brush strokes, right? Like, you don't want to see what's going on, right? Like, or the artist doesn't want you to see the strokes. Hieronymus Bosch was the exact opposite, right? He would make these really intentional moves that went against the grain of traditional art at that style. The creator of Attack on Titan is doing the same thing, but in the shonen, style, right?
Okay.
So
This would be a crazy fucking puzzle. This
right, Garden of
center
Earthly
panel
Delight.
of Garden and Earthly, like that.
All right.
Okay. So it's going to be hard work, but you're telling us it's hard, like, because no, I know it sounds probably,
You
It
just
is.
have to sit
Yeah,
there, but
but this is like the show is work, for
it
me.
is. It's not
And you're-
easy. It's not an easy watch.
And you're saying it will at one point flip where I'm so captivated by the story that I'm
It's
looking forward to watching the next.
Yeah.
it's like an avalanche of like synapses. Like
Right.
it'll hit you like a train. There's a point in time where they get all of this intrigue and stuff all built up, and then they just pull the fucking veil off, and that
Oh.
I remember that feeling of watching the show when the veil goes off and then being like, fuck, like that.
They're
Yeah.
ants.
It's
And
They're
they'll
not-
Very good.
they'll tell you like they'll tell you that they're building up to the veil as well. They'll be like, hey, we're gonna try to get to this thing. We're gonna try to do this
Yeah.
thing.
All
'Cause
right.
for me, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't think that they're really humans. The people who are in the
The
walls
city?
in the
Okay.
city.
I like that
All right,
theory.
well then, yeah, go
like
with
that
that
theory.
speculation.
I will say that caring and emotion and desire for revenge and that determination is for
Mhm.
me
Compelling.
is coming through. So that's a
Yeah.
component of the story that I will keep following and could keep me getting through another few episodes.
Totally.
Aaron, oh, go ahead, Eliza.
Well, I was gonna say for me, the terror is the most entertaining. Honestly, like at first I was like, what? I'm not sure I'm totally into this. And also I was gonna ask, like, do you guys remember? And I know I sound like a broken record, but like, do you recommend watching this dubbed or do you recommend
Dubbed.
watching it?
I
with
think
the
it can
subtitles?
be consumed dubbed or subbed. Actually,
I
I'm
think
gonna
I'm
be
watching
completely
it
honest with you.
dubbed.
Dubbed is the voice actors do a fine job. in this
Okay.
movie.
They're very good. Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's
Couscous, I don't want to be a spoil sport, but we're at 16 minutes, brother.
Oh,
and I know
shit.
you
keep
got
going. We're fine.
I know
We're
you
fine.
got things to do. So okay.
No, it's all good. It's
We
all
wrap
good.
it up in
We
5
can
minutes
finish out
then.
here.
Because
Sure.
what I was gonna say is in the first episode, like at first I was like, I cannot believe Luke is making me watch this. And then when the attack happens, I'm like,
Nobody's
oh, God,
making you.
this is fucking terrible. Like this is so scary. And I kind of like that it's so dark and so scary. And it's like, oh shit, they really just ate that kid's mom, like
Yeah.
chomped her. And I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, gross. But then that's kind of what pulled me forward. And then the second episode, I was kind of like, I felt like it hooked me, and then I felt bored, and then I kind of like there are these little bursts that are keeping me going.
But the thing is, Eliza, we got to remember, this is not Paddington 2, Coda, Rashomon. This
So
is
Some
a
episodes will set
long
up for other episodes,
story
and then those
arc.
other episodes will taste so much sweeter than
yeah.
So
having,
have you
like,
guys watched
Okay.
boom, 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 boom,
The
boom.
Sopranos? Eliza, have you watched The Sopranos?
No, I think I told you I can't. No, I haven't.
Debatably the greatest television show of all time.
What
Well, I
about
wish we would
like-
get to the goods then.
so?
Yeah.
What about?
I
What
can't
about?
stand his mom. She's such a bitch.
Have you seen
She
Mad
gets hers.
Men?
She does. She gets hers.
Wait.
Mad Men. Have you
Yeah,
seen it?
I've seen Mad Men. Again, a beautiful production quality. Total
Start to finish. You didn't like it?
I thought it got really boring.
Okay.
I think Mad Men's pretty boring just in general, but I do like the story. So, and I like seeing Don Draper being the absolute shittiest human being ever.
So selfish. Yeah, I like Stranger Things. I like Game of Thrones. I like Harry Potter. All of these are things with really high rewatchability scores and high like.
This is similar
Hey,
to
did
Game of
you-
Thrones.
Did you?
Hey.
What?
Okay. Let's do a real quick hands up for a finger
Okay.
count of how many times you've watched the entire series of Game of Thrones. None?
What?
The universe is garbage. It's a trash universe that
What?
does not deserve the recognition that it has. Like, I cannot wait for Brandon Sanderson stuff to start getting immortalized into movies and into TV shows, because everyone's gonna flush that Game of Thrones shit down the fucking tubes.
Okay.
Like,
No, it's a good story.
But
It's a
Atticus,
very-
how do you know that it's garbage if you haven't ever seen it?
I've read the books. I haven't watched the
No,
movie,
we're
the
talking
show.
about the. I said, how many of you have watched the show?
Yeah.
And so
Like,
you
if the
decided,
if the source material is bad, like if you have bad grain, you're gonna have bad bread. So, like,
that's-
I believe Atticus on this. I think Atticus is fine for having this opinion.
Yeah,
I
it
think
just hurts.
everybody's
It
fine
just-
for having their
I
opinion.
think I'm having an emotional reaction because that's one of the stories that I love the most and love to talk about the most. So maybe
I'll
in this
check it out.
whole experiment of movie
watch
club,
it.
what we're learning is that maybe we just really have very different tastes in entertainment.
I like high
close.
fantasy. Game of Thrones is just it's the aspects like so Stormlight has like political intrigue and betrayal and like all this stuff. No incest. And so, you know, and I like that aspect of it. Like Warbreaker, one of the books in the Sanderson series that ties directly into the Stormlight archive, which is the 1-to-1 comparison to Game of Thrones, generally speaking. It is so much more interesting. It's so much better done. The political aspects of everything is just, it's more refined. It's better as far as I'm concerned.
And that's great. And I look forward to that when it comes on. I'll probably watch it. But I'm just taking that piece of storytelling. And as for me, I thought it was
I
phenomenal.
thought it was phenomenal. I thought it changed a lot. I thought it made like fantasy mainstream, and it like is embracing like all these. I enjoy it a lot. Like,
But so with that said,
I won't argue that it brought fantasy into the mainstream. I see that certainly as a positive, right? But a product can still be subpar and make it into the zeitgeist and be very popular.
yeah, well, and I won't even argue with you. I mean, like, and I think that maybe one of the things that you're saying is something that like Game of Thrones fans feel like the ending was really unsatisfying, and we still aren't clear. Like, is this the ending that we would have gotten in the books? Is this the ending that whose fault is this? Is this the story's fault? Is it George's fault? Is it D&D's fault? Like it's
D&D
Double D's. Like
exclusively.
so it's like that's what's tough. But like I guess what I'm hearing you say is maybe it is more of a world in the story. Who knows? But Dad, are you saying that like the first time I watched, because Game of Thrones, right? It took me a whole season of Game of Thrones before I was into it. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying with Attack on Titan. This has got a long story arc, clearly, from what Atticus and Luke are saying. So we've got to give it that time.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's what I'm thinking too. So like initial reactions, episodes 1 through 3. If it was just me, I probably wouldn't. Well, if it was just me, I probably never would have pressed play on the first one, but that's okay. But I think where I'm sitting today, like going like after the first 3, heading into the next 3 is like I'm just trusting the process. And maybe I should just try to stay open-minded, trust that process, and like and knowing that it's possible that even after episode 6 is done, that there's still process to trust. I'm hearing. So it's like just
correct. I like that.
Think of Aaron's mom getting eaten as Bran being pushed off the tower.
Okay. Yeah. That's Luke. Honestly, that is so helpful because you're like, okay, that's like such a little. It's a big.
Wait. You can't say that because Atticus doesn't get it.
Atticus has read the books.
Read the book.
Yeah, I understand what's going on. No worries.
It's like at that point we had
full
no
disclosure
of what a 3-eyed raven even was. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you don't
100%.
even know. You have no person. Like you have no clue. Like it's just you're like, holy, oh no, that poor leg.
I'm sure this happens in Stranger Things too.
Yeah, totally. And it's like all those things. I can trust it.
So speaking of, just I without having to go back and look at the last podcast, are we doing the whole season of Attack on Titan and then Stranger Things?
I think that's what we were doing.
Let's just see how we feel. Let's just do the whole season of Attack on Titan and let's see, because one of my personal things that I'm worried about is that maybe even like diving into Stranger Things after, it might be too much to be trying to do movie club and this at the same time, honestly. Like,
okay.
So I want to make good on my commitment because I made a commitment to watch the whole first season of Attack on Titan and I don't have interest in reneging on that. But it might be too much to try to do 2 reviews every single week. So
sure,
that's where I'm at personally.
So with that said,
I agree.
I don't want to get into being a authoritarian, but we were going to do 40 minutes on Elvis turned into over an hour, and then we were going to do 15 minutes on this. Are you guys cool with the whole just let it go and we'll, spontaneous? I can stop us when we need to stop.
I
But
think if we're having a good conversation, we should keep having the conversation.
I agree.
That's how I feel.
100%.
But it's helpful too and maybe what we do is like every other week. It's just like let's just see how we feel each week.
Let's
But
just
if it starts to feel
let's
like
just
a
wait.
huge commitment and obligation, I think we should be able to check in with each other and be like, hey, this is feeling like a little too much. And I think that should be totally
Yeah.
fine.
Perfect.
And not that this is a huge factor, but I also play D&D on Sundays, so I have a 4-hour commitment from 8 o'clock in the morning
That's
until
a lot.
12 already.
No problem. I
That's
understand.
a lot.
And I feel bad, and I know we talked about it, but we need to figure out how to have a surrogate just in case I can't do it. I think if we
Yeah.
could come up with a system to where we can have a backup in case I have to work, that we don't stop. But I think that might make it a little easier. But I do also like our flexibility that we've had. So.
For me,
Oh my God.
I
Okay,
would
wait,
rather
stop.
No,
We're going to
no,
end
no,
this
no,
one,
no.
Attack on Titan, the broadcast, and we're going to discuss next steps.
Afterwards, yeah. I
All
agree.
right. We'll
Okay,
see you
love you.
later.
Thank
Next
you to
time,
our
next 3
lovely
episodes.
listeners.
Attack
You
on
guys are
Titan.
the best.
Love you guys.